My name is Jeff Churchwell, General Manager of your Northeast Louisiana Power Cooperative, and I'm here today to explain the particulars of the rate increase that we just instituted in January of this year. We made many efforts through Powerline magazine to inform our members that we were going to have a rate increase starting in January. We started that campaign in around September of last year. The need for the rate increase was born from a cost of service study that was done by an engineering firm. It was done largely because in 2025 we will have a new power supplier for Northeast Power Co-op, 1803 Cooperative, which Northeast Louisiana Power Co-op is a member of. It's 5 co-ops that formed a power purchasing cooperative. A little bit of a background on Northeast Louisiana Power Cooperative and the reason for 1803. We do not generate our own electricity. We're more aligned on the distribution. 1803 is aligned on the generation and the transmission. And so we saw an opportunity to work together with the other cooperatives to be able to more affordably provide that electricity. The co-op, much different than an IOU, is established so that we each, every one of us, pay our share of what the expenses are to deliver that power. The cost of the power plus the cost to deliver the power. So that's what makes a cooperative unique compared to Entergy, which is an IOU, where the IOUs establish a rate that just covers rate of return for their investors. The cooperatives, you as our members, are our investors. So we basically provide the power for the least cost possible, meaning we still have expenses that have to be covered. That's what the cost of service study shows, how we allocate those costs across the kilowatt hours in the different rate classes that we have. Nora will explain a little further to you what went into the cost of service study. It was all based on financials, which she provided, and that was what gave us back the information that we needed as management and the board to make the determination that it was time for us to institute a rate increase.
I'm Nora Pylant. I am the accountant here at NELPCO, and I'm going to talk to you today about our new rate increase and what prompted our rate increase after 40 years of no increase to your base rate. First of all, we're going to talk about your co-op. So your co-op is about a $70 million plant co-op. So that means that we're not teeny tiny, but we're not one of the larger co-ops in the state. $70 million co-op only having $10 million worth of debt is extremely rare these days, but that's how we've been able to go for 40 years without having a rate increase. We have been living on our line of credit. After the last couple of years of transformer prices and truck prices and fleet costs increasing double and then triple, we were prompted to do a cost of service study. The cost of service study reviews all of our operating expenses to see what we're spending money on and what it takes to operate the system so that when you flip your switch, there's power there. Whether it's your house or your irrigation pump or your barn, our base rate is supposed to cover the cost to have electricity sitting there when you want it. When they reviewed our operating cost and what we charged each month for the base rate and for our monthly service charges, we were significantly lower than we should be. For example, your residential home service, we used to have a $6 a month minimum monthly service charge. When we did the cost of service study, it showed that it should be $24.82. That is to cover the operating costs to have that electricity sitting there waiting for you. When you review our new interim rate approval, it's not $24.82, it's $12. Why didn't we go ahead and cover all our costs? So the commission, we felt, would probably not allow us such a huge $6 to $24 increase. So $12 is the new minimum service charge for residential customers. The general service customers went to $16. That should have been $25.91. And as our other rates increased, so do the monthly minimum service charges. When we reviewed some of the operating costs at 1984, $2.30 was the minimum wage per hour. Today, it's not $2.30, and to be able to find reliable employees that are here that know your system and that can get your power restored in the middle of the night to provide you with the service that you're accustomed to. That's one of the operating expenses that we must cover on our base rates. We have to cover fleet costs, we have to cover materials so that when your transformer goes out, we can replace your transformer. All of that is in the base rate. I also want to talk a little bit about the power cost, because you do have two pieces to your rate. You have the base rate that covers the operating expenses, and then you have the power cost. That is flow through from our wholesale power provider through the power cost adjustment. So when you see your bill, there is an energy charge and it's made up of two pieces. So we flow through the power cost, and then the base rate covers the operating expenses. We will probably in 3 to 5 years go through a cost of service study again, see where we are, see how we're measuring up, so that we can better attempt to cover those operating costs, so that when you flip the switch, you have the service that you're used to from Northeast Power.
My name is Victoria Conover, and I'm the billing supervisor here at Northeast Power. Our residential rate saw an average of a 12.5% increase across the board. This increase is less than a penny per kilowatt hour. For instance, if you use 1,000 kilowatt hours, there's about a $14.22 increase on the base rate. If you use 2,000 kilowatt hours, there is a $22.43 increase. As you can see, this member's January bill would have been $335.32 on the old rate, and on our new rate, it's $370.02. The difference in the bill due to our change in rate is only $34.70 for 3,758 kilowatt hours of usage. We have to remember that there are other factors that play into our bill each month, the power cost adjustment being a big one. Each month when Northeast Power gets our wholesale power bill, that cost is spread across the number of kilowatt hours sold and applied to the current month's bills. The power cost adjustment is the only variable on your bill because the cost to produce power changes each month. Another factor is weather. You do not have to do anything different in your home for the weather to change the amount of kilowatt hours that you use. If you keep your air or heat on 70 degrees and it's 72 degrees outside, you're not going to use that many kilowatt hours. But if you keep your air or heat on 70 degrees and it's 10 degrees outside, you're going to use a good bit more. Our irrigation customers are going to see the biggest change with the new rate. We had a lot of discussion on how to correctly disperse this charge over the entire rate class, and having an installed annual KVA charge seemed like the most fair way to do that. You're going to see this charge on your April, May, and June bill. For instance, if you have a 15 horsepower pump, that pump requires a 25 kVA transformer to be able to run it. The charge for that transformer would be $225, and we would split that $225 over 3 months. So you would be looking at $75 per month. However, the kilowatt hour charge for irrigation actually went down. Whenever you are using your pump and it's not a month where you have that installed kVA charge, you're actually going to see that your bill is going to go down for those months.
So you've heard from Nora. She explained to you what went into the financial components that made up the cost of service study. You've heard from Victoria Conover, our billing supervisor, to explain what the particulars were that went into all of the rate increases that we've discussed. So what we want you to understand is, as Northeast Louisiana Power Cooperative, we are just that. We are a cooperative of large group working together for one goal. That one goal is the most reliable delivery of electricity, the safest possible manner at the least expensive cost. I appreciate each and every one of you. Each and every day that we get to serve you is a pleasure. If there's anything that we can do, please contact us at our office, either in Bastrop, Winsboro, or Oak Grove.